Welcome to day 17, Kanban framework. Visualize your workflow and maximize efficiency. Objectives for day 17. We want to understand the principles and practices of the Kanban framework, learn how Kanban visualizes workflow and manages work in progress, explore the practical applications of Kanban in agile and hybrid environments, and then prepare for situational and knowledge-based questions on Kanban. So, without further ado, what is Kanban? Kanban is an agile framework designed to improve workflow efficiency by visualizing tasks and limiting work in progress. And you'll see it on the next page where it talks about the Kanban board. But Kanban is essentially a way to visualize your work, right? What work is in progress? What work do you have to do, right? And let me rephrase that. What work do you have to do? What work is in progress? And what work has been done, right? And then you may have some different phases within those two or those three concepts, but it's a simple way of understanding where you are in your project itself. And so it's a methodology that's used by a lot of people, used in conjunction with other agile methodologies. And so we'll talk about that here today, but let's talk about some of the core principles of Kanban. So first, visualize workflow. Use a Kanban board to make the process visible and transparent. An example is tasks are presented as cards that move across the column, such as to do, in progress, or done. Limit work in progress, right? So you set limits on how much work can be done in progress at each stage. An example is a team limits in progress column to 5 tasks to prevent overloading, right? Capacity, we talked about that, and within Scrum, capacity is applied throughout each methodology and every team that you're a part of. If your team doesn't have the capacity to complete, all the tasks or user stories that you have on your product backlog, or that you have that is needed to complete, you guys need to make sure you prioritize the ones that you think you can based off your capacity and your capabilities within your team. 3, manage workflow, right? So it focuses on ensuring a smooth flow of work through the process. Example is it identifies bottlenecks where tasks can get stuck and resolves them quickly. 4, make process policies explicit, defining clear rules for how much work items move through the workflow. Example is the task cannot move to done until it has passed peer review, right? So you have clear rules, clear defining triggers that will allow you to move each task to the next column. 5, implement feedback loops. Regularly review performance and adapt to changes. An example of this is hold weekly stand-ups to assess the workflow, right? You have to understand, are we working within our cadence, right? Are we behind schedule when it comes to our cadence, right? Are we working slower? Why are we working slower, right? You have to evaluate and analyze those things. 6, continuously improve. Right, so this is Kaizen, seeking opportunities to optimize processes. Example is use metrics like cycle time to identify inefficiency. Before we move on to the Kanban board, I want you to look up Kaizen just to gain a deeper understanding of what we're talking about here and how it applies to Kanban, because these are things that will come up in the project management professional certification. You have to understand some of these ideologies that come with some of these methodologies. And so Kaizen is one of them. Go ahead and look that up, pause this video, look that up, and then get back here. So hopefully you were able to gain some understanding into Kaizen. And here in front of you, you see the Kanban board, right? This is an AI generated image, don't judge me. The Kanban board is a visual tool that represents workflow stages. And so you're able to see that there, right? It has to do, it has in progress, right? Done, right? What tasks are done. And so you see that there. It's a great visual tool and it represents workflow stages. If you look at some people's offices, they'll just have sticky notes up that has a similar format. And you can use the Kanban board without an actual board. It's a way to visualize your progress, visualize how you're tackling tasks, how you're prioritizing tasks, those types of things. So typical columns that you'll see is to do, in progress, review, done, right? Those are easy ones. And then for specific projects, you may have different tasks that correlate to the project itself and the industry that you're in. An example of this is a marketing team uses the Kanban board to manage tasks for product launch with columns for draft content, review content, and publish content, right? So you can make it whatever you want it to be and adjust it for each project. Key metrics in Kanban, right? So cycle time, the time it takes for a task to move from in progress to done. Example is a development task takes 3 days to complete. 2, lead time, right? The total time from when a task is added to the board to when it is completed. An example is a support ticket spends 5 days on the board before resolution. And then 3, throughput, right? The number of tasks completed in a given period. An example is a team completes 20 tasks in a 2-week period. So benefits of Kanban: it improves transparency and collaboration, reduces bottlenecks and increases efficiency, provides flexibility to adapt changes, and then promotes continuous improvement. I would say this, right? What this looks like It's not always a board, right? It could be an Excel sheet, right? Or it could be something in your PMIS system that you're using, right? You can use this in a remote scenario. The easiest way to visualize it that you'll see the most examples of is, sticky notes on a board, right? But it doesn't necessarily have to be that. It can be an Excel sheet or something similar, where you're just tracking what items you have to do, what items you have in progress, right? And then what items are finished and peer reviewed. And so don't think of it as just, it has to be, this is the only visual that you can see is where it's on a board with sticky notes, and it doesn't have to be in that form. So Kanban versus Scrum, right? So this is a comparative table, and we're going to go over the structure, the roles, work in progress limits, and then the delivery. So the structure for Kanban is that it's continuous, whereas Scrum has time. The structure for Kanban is that it has a continuous workflow, where Scrum has time box sprints, right? That's different, right? Kanban utilizes continuous workflow to work on problems that may not go away for months, years, that type of thing. Scrum, right, is using these time box sprints to deliver. Sorry, bro. I'll bring this on 5 seconds. I'll bring it. All right, I'm gonna just read through it then. Huh? What? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Some people like to follow along. Yeah, that's fine, man. It's fine, man. It's not the end of the world. A lot of the Udemy classes are just like this. That's why it's not that big a deal. So Kanban versus Scrum, right? So aspect that you'll see: structure, roles, work in progress limits, and then delivery. Kanban has a continuous workflow, whereas Scrum has time box sprints. Kanban doesn't have any defined roles, whereas Scrum, product owner, scrum master, team, those types of things. Work in progress limits are essential for Kanban, whereas it's optional for Scrum, right? So you'll have limits within Scrum that you won't have within. All right, I'm gonna just skip that. Practical applications of Kanban. So you have the IT support teams, right? Marketing teams, software development, and hybrid projects. Read through those examples, kind of try to get a better understanding. But yeah, those are where you'll see it most, especially IT support teams, right? Because they'll use Kanban to manage incoming tickets and prioritize urgent issues, right? And so they can only support a certain amount of tickets at one time, and so they'll use Kanban as that, right? And it's easy when you think about it, right? Somebody submits a ticket, so it's in the to-do list. They're prioritizing tickets based off of the problem, who's the personnel that's submitting it, right? But then they move into, okay, now this is in progress. I'm starting it. I'm trying to figure out what's the problem is. All right, I solved it. The review is, okay, is it resolved on the customer's end, right? Okay, yes, it is. Now it's in the done phase, right? And these are all the tickets that I've finished and submitted. And so it makes sense for something like IT. Whereas Scrum, you don't necessarily need a time boxed event for a time box sprint for an IT support team. You don't have tickets that you're planning to do during this time frame, and if you do, then that means they're not being done in a timely frame, right? They're not done. I don't know. Challenges in Kanban and how to address them, right? Overloaded work in progress columns. So the challenge is that when too many tasks are in progress at the same time, it can lead to inefficiencies, stress, and delays. This often happens when teams take on more work than they can handle, resulting in cluttered work in progress columns on the Kanban board. Yes, so why is the problem? So overloading makes it difficult for the team to focus on completing tasks, leading to slower delivery and reduced quality. Unclear task prioritization, right? That's self-explanatory. Bottlenecks in the workflow, that's a big one. So bottlenecks occur when the work gets stuck in one part of the process, slowing down the entire workflow. This might happen because one stage of the process has too many tasks while the others are idle. And so it's a problem because bottlenecks disrupt the flow of work, leading to delays and frustration for the team. Solution is to review the cycle time metrics and adjust processes. Regularly analyze how long tasks take to move through each stage of the workflow. So why it works: monitoring cycle time helps identify where the work is getting stuck. By addressing these bottlenecks, the team can improve the flow and deliver work more efficiently. Kanban is highly effective for managing workflows, but it's important to recognize that and address these common challenges, right? Overloaded work in progress columns, unclear task prioritization, bottlenecks in the workflow. Keep those in mind. And now we're here at the practice scenarios. I want you guys to read through them, gain an understanding, think about how you would solve it, and then look at what the answer inside is, kind of getting the PMI aligned answer, and then move through the practice questions. If you want to see the practice questions, go to my playlist for practice questions, where I go over practice questions for each day, and I say practice questions a million times, doesn't matter. Go through that day 17 practice questions, and I'll show you how to move through and solve and answer some of these questions, eliminating the easy wrong answers, and then looking at the good and the great answers and deciding between the two. So with that, we'll go to the end of day reflection, right? So Kanban emphasizes efficiency, flexibility, and continuous improvement. Reflect on how these principles of Kanban can streamline your workflow, and enhance collaboration. Can you identify areas in your current projects where visualizing work and limiting work in progress could bring immediate benefit? Tomorrow, we'll explore extreme programming, focusing on how to measure progress and demonstrate value. Without further ado, if you still want to study, which you should, hit your processing map game, hit the flashcards, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.